everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again I'm coming to you with another range report. And today's range report is on a really cool and beautiful 1911 from Smith Wesson. This is the SW1911ES. This is a really cool gun, as I mentioned, because this is a CCO, or a concealed carry officer-sized 1911. It's kind of a blend between a commander and an officer, and I want to talk more about that when I tell you about what this is. But before we get into that portion of the video, I want to thank the people that always make these videos possible. First and foremost is the person that actually owns this gun, Jack. He's a local subscriber and lends so many of his fine guns from his collection to the channel for review. So thank you so much, Jack. I also want to thank my Patreons, as always. They keep the lights on around here. You guys know us gun channels are in a constant fight with YouTube for monetization, and their monthly donations go a long way to just keeping things around here going, like buying SD cards and equipment. It means so much to me. And I also want to especially thank the primary sponsor for all of my range reports, who provides all of the ammunition, and that is Brown Works. Maybe you're watching this video right now because you own this particular 1911, or you own a 1911 in general, and you're like, man, I really would like some custom high quality wood grips for my gun. Well, I did that once, and I have a set of Brown Works grips, and here we go. We have some Texas Gun Vault logoed Colt 1911 grips. Take a look at those. Those are absolutely beautiful. This set was made by Mark over at Brown Works, and as you can tell, he is the maker of fine custom wood grips for a wide variety of firearms. And as I always tell you, he can make very special heirloom, one-of-a-kind grips for your firearms. Not just for Colt 1911s or 1911s in general, but for Berettas and CZs. And if you go over to his website and don't see something over there, but you want some custom grips made, give him an email, give him a call. He has wonderful customer service, and I guarantee you he will hook you up. He can custom make anything to your heart's desire. As you can also see, adding custom logos and etchings to these grips to make them one of a kind. He can finish them in any color and can also produce laminate wood grips. I'm telling you, he is an amazing craftsman. You will not be disappointed by his quality. Go over there, take a look at his website, see all that he has to offer, and I guarantee you, you will not be disappointed. I'm going to put an affiliate link in both the description and a pinned comment, and a discount code for 10% off your first order over there. And you might also be in the mood for buying some modern sporting rifle magazines. He can also laser engrave Magpul PMags for both the AR and the AK, and it is my understanding he also offers some engraved ones for 1911s as well. So go check out that. He offers more than grips, and I'm sure his product line is only going to expand in the future. So once more, go over, check out Brown Works website, and please tell them the Texas Gun Vault sent you. All right, so let's talk about this really awesome Smith Wesson 1911. As I mentioned, this is a CCO, or a concealed carry officer. Now, I believe this was a term coined by Colt, and essentially it's a melding of a Commander 1911 with the length of the slide and an officer size with the frame. Now, in case some of you guys don't know, of course, there's full-size compact and subcompact 1911s. Now, here is that 1911 I was just showing off with those Brown Works grips, and this gun comes out of my personal carry rotation, and this is a lightweight Commander from Colt. Now, essentially, it has a full-size frame, so this can accept a full-size magazine. Originally, they were 7 rounds, but they offer 8-round magazines now, and a shortened slide from the original government size, which was 5-inch. I believe these are 4.25 inches. And so this was a really popular size for a long time, and they made these Commanders both out of all steel and aluminum frames. Well, in the 1970s, Colt designed, along with the Rock Island Arsenal, a replacement for the aging old Colt. I believe it was the M1908s, which were carried by officers, and they came up with a subcompact 1911, also chambered in .45, and it was a gun about this size here. Now, this is my Colt Tallow Edition Night Defender. This was a very limited production firearm, and it has a much shorter slide. The original officers had a 3.5-inch barrel. This one has a 3-inch barrel, but the frame is the same. It is a lot shorter and accepts usually 1 round less in the magazine. So here is the Commander, and here's the officer size frame. So why in the world would you want to blend the two? Well, when it comes to concealed carry, the dimension of the gun that can get in the way the most is the length of the frame. That's what's going to stick out. The length of the slide really doesn't matter that much, especially if it's holstered. So you get a better sight picture or a longer sight picture with a Commander length slide, and you get the concealability with the officer size frame. The biggest downside, of course, is capacity. And I'm going to talk about that and the things I like and don't like about this gun. But that essentially is what this particular gun is. Now, so let's talk about those things that I like and don't like. Well, first and foremost, I love the aesthetics of this gun. This gun reminds me a lot of a Kimber. Now, I think Kimbers are just beautiful 1911s. They have rosewood grips, which, by the way, Brownworks also makes rosewood grips, just kind of throwing that plug in there. You have a two-toned gun. Both you have a stainless slide and a scandium frame. Now, scandium is a very light alloy of metal. It's a little bit more durable than your standard aluminum, but it's also lightweight. So you get the advantage of a lightweight frame with the durability of steel. It might not be the same rigidity and the same hardness of steel, but it's supposed to be more durable than aluminum. And as I said, this has those Kimber aesthetics. You have Novak style sights, you have front and rear cocking serrations, you have the holes drilled in the trigger, which I think are very attractive. You have the extended beaver tail and the combat style hammer. Hopefully I can get that into focus there. So for me, this gun has everything that I want when it comes to features and nothing that I don't. It even has an extended safety. I absolutely love that. I think this is just really awesome. And something that this gun also offers that most of the Colt 1911s do not is that the main spring housing, which by the way has this nice checkering on it, is also made of metal, where many of the Colts are made of polymer. So you get a lot of upgrades. This is a beautiful 1911. So if you don't want a Kimber and don't want a Colt, but you want something that looks like them and functions like them, well, this might be a great option for you. So now let's talk about the couple of things that I don't like. I've already alluded to one of those, and that's going to be capacity. The capacity of this particular gun, I believe, is 6 according to this magazine when it comes chambered in 45 ACP. And here is an original 1911 magazine. Most of these hold 7, but some of them hold 8, and you can see the length difference. Now, if you're going to carry a gun for concealed carry, especially in today's modern world, you're going to want as much capacity as possible. And I really feel like only having 6 rounds is kind of anemic. Now, yes, you can carry more magazines, but you're going to have to train for that. Now, I'm going to make a statement here that often is quite controversial, because I'm going to say the era of single stack handguns is over. Most of them are obsolete. They're not obsolete from the fact that they're not nice or they don't work. It's just we live in a world of double stack polymer striker fired handguns, and that's just the way it's going to go. We're not going to go back to single stack 45s that have limited capacity. That's just not the way it is. So I kind of feel like as a concealed carry gun, if you are going to carry something like this, you really do need to train by carrying extra magazines, and that's going to weigh down your EDC. You're going to have to need some mag pouches as well. So that's kind of a distraction. The other thing that Smith Wesson does that I do not like on 1911s is they have external extractors. As you can see it right there. My problem with these external extractors is I kind of find them to be unreliable. Not that they don't work, they're just erratic. They don't always give even ejections. I really do believe that John Browning got it right when he invented the 1911 with the internal extractor, which of course, let's see if I can get this here in the back, and I'll show you, is right there. And all the mechanism for extracting those cases is inside the firearm. It just seems to work better. They're more easily tuned. They work in all length 1911s. Maybe this is a little bit easier to manufacture, I don't know, but I just don't like these external extractors. I've just had problems with them. But really, that's the only complaints I have about the gun just here on the table. So let's get this gun to the range and let's put my first shots through it. I'm kind of curious. I haven't shot a CCO in some time. I used to own a Colt CCO and I ended up selling it for whatever reason. But I do remember it was a little bit on the snappy side, and having larger hands, this officer size frame, well, it might not be the most comfortable thing, but it's been a while. So let's take this thing to the range. I'm gonna set the target out at 7 yards. I'm gonna put 2 magazines through this. I'm gonna use the standard 5 or 6 round magazine that's in this right now, and I'm also going to use the full size magazine. And in case you're wondering, yes, it will fit in there. It's just gonna stick out the bottom a little more. So let's see how I do and see if my grouping is any good. All right, so I definitely think we're off to a great start. That's a pretty darn good group. It's a little bit low for me, but I'm really happy with that group. I can just adjust my point of aim. The gun is a little bit snappy, as I suspected, so an all steel version of this would probably recoil a little bit nicer, but as a concealed carry gun, it is perfectly fine. And I do remember that when I use the larger magazines with my larger hands, it kind of hurts a little bit. My pinky kind of rubs on the end of that magazine. So if you do have the larger hands and run the longer magazines in this shorter frame, it might not be as comfortable. But normally people are going to carry this and probably shoot this with the officer size magazine, so that's not going to be an issue at all. Well, let's see if I can shoot this thing at further distance. I like to call this the accuracy portion. Essentially, I'm just going to put 1 magazine downrange with the target set at 12 yards, going for the head on this IDPA target, see what happens to the group, and see if I have any benefit from this longer sight radius, and if I can keep everything on target. So let's see how I do. So as expected, my grouping did open up, but it's pretty good. I definitely got a couple on target with that small circle on the head, so I'm pretty happy with that. That is one of the advantages to having that longer sight picture as compared to a 3-inch or a 3.5-inch 1911. So when they designed this gun, I think that really is the best part about this. You get that smaller gun with that longer slide. Gives you just that better sight picture, and I think you can be more accurate with it. I have to say too, it's a pretty darn good trigger. It's not a race trigger, but it's better than your stock duty trigger probably from Colt. So a Nighthawk Custom's definitely going to be better, but I think it's better than a Colt. It's tuned really nice. It has a great reset. The take-up is not gritty, it's short, and it's very crisp. Man, 1911 triggers probably are the best triggers of any handgun ever designed. That's just my personal opinion, and I wish more striker-fired guns could compete with them. All right, so let's give my wife Becky a shot. She likes to shoot every gun that comes through the Texas gun vault. She likes 1911s, and I kind of warned her about this. This is going to be a little bit more snappy for her. She is a little bit recoil sensitive, and so I like to have her shoot every gun that comes through the Texas gun vault, because sometimes you're going to have novice or women shooters, and I know that I have larger hands. I'm used to shooting a little bit more than she does, so maybe if you're kind of new to guns, you might be looking at this particular gun, you can kind of get her perspective. Or maybe you're thinking about buying the gun for a loved one and you want to know what a female's perspective is. So let's just see what she thinks. I'm going to give her a magazine, see how she does, and what she likes and doesn't like. So the first thing she said is that she really likes the size of the frame. She shot a whole bunch of other 1911s that I own, and she really likes this shorter frame. It fits her smaller hands a lot better. She did agree that the recoil was a little bit snappy, but it is very manageable. And the one thing she definitely did not like was the erratic ejections. Now, I didn't notice it when I was shooting, but even reviewing the footage of her shooting it, we saw that sometimes this thing ejects to the 3 o'clock position, and a couple times it ejected to the 6 o'clock position and hit her on the forehead. It looked like she had a good grip on this thing, so maybe I was having the same issue, but I didn't notice. But she didn't like the erratic ejections. It kind of startles her when you do have that brass ejecting back into your face. So that was her complaint, but overall she said it was okay. Well, the next portion of the test I want to do is the defensive use. Essentially, if you're going to carry this, and obviously with the limited capacity, you're going to be carrying an extra magazine, well, can you empty the gun, get the magazine out, put a new one in, get it back into action as fast as you can? How hard is it? This doesn't have a flared magazine. Well, it's a standard 1911. Well, I think it's a valid test, because if I can do it as an average gun owner and shooter, well, you probably can too, and probably do it better. So let's see how I do trying to change this magazine really fast. Okay, so we have a problem. In fact, this almost stopped the entire range report, because as you can see, I got this magazine stuck. Now, this is the one that came with the gun and is the 6-round officer size magazine. When I used this magazine, which by the way is a Colt manufacturer 8-round magazine, I quickly inserted it and it over inserted and somehow got caught behind the magazine catch. Now, I have tried to duplicate this error or this malfunction a number of times. I can't do it. Again, I don't really know what happened. I don't think I really jammed it in there that hard or that fast. Even when I'm sitting here on the bench and I jam it in kind of fast and hard, it doesn't do it. So it had an over insertion problem and it literally got stuck. I couldn't pull the magazine out. I couldn't push it out. The magazine was loaded. So eventually I was able to pull it out, but I don't really know what the problem was. I can't duplicate it at all, whether it was at the range or here. So who knows, maybe it was a one-off problem and it's probably a magazine issue with these Colt 8-rounders. But I want to give it a fair shot and another chance. So I'm going to load these magazines back up and redo the test. So let's see if I have the same issue. All right. right, so I didn't have an issue inserting the larger magazine this time. It ran perfectly. So I'm pretty happy with that. Maybe it's just a one-off thing. And if you own this gun and are worried about that, we'll always test every magazine that you own and carry, and probably have a variety of different manufacturers. Sometimes these things can be a little bit picky, and always buy high quality 1911 magazines. Even though this one here is a Colt, I consider it a high quality magazine. Sometimes they can just be a little bit out of spec. All right, so now I want to do one more test, and that is the hollow point test. If you're going to carry this as a concealed carry weapon, well, you obviously want to be able to carry hollow points. And sometimes, depending on the design of the feed ramp, you might have some issues. So I'm going to load up a magazine of hollow points, just make sure it runs in this thing, and see if it affects the point of aim running hollow point plus P. All right, so for me running plus P hollow point ammunition, the point of impact was a little bit low, and you definitely felt the recoil a little bit more. But if I was going to carry it, it's pretty manageable. I didn't have any problems whatsoever. All right, so what are my final thoughts on the Smith Wesson SW1911ES? Well, this is a gun that I really like. It's aesthetically beautiful. It has almost every option on a modern 1911 that I would want. I don't like the modern 1911s that have all the frills and the engravings and all the things that I think they just try to trick them out with. It's not trying to be a race gun. It's just trying to be an elegant weapon. I think, as Obi-Wan Kenobi calls the lightsaber, an elegant weapon for a more civilized age. And that's really how I would define this. It's just a beautiful, well-designed, reliable weapon. The only issue I had was a couple of erratic ejections and that one magazine issue where the larger capacity one got over-inserted. So, what do I think about this gun in general? Well, it's really nice. I went online, looked up the MSRP of it, and it's kind of expensive. You're going to pay more for this than you are a standard Colt. Now, do you get that much more gun than a Colt? Maybe. It's really nice. I would really put it on par with a Colt, but you do get this nice scandium frame. I think you get better aesthetics. And I think you get the same reliability and probably a better trigger. So it is probably a better gun than your stock Colt, but not by much. But you can't go wrong with either. So on my star system, how would I rate the SW1911ES by Smith Wesson? Well, I'm going to give this a pretty good score. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 stars. I didn't have any issues that I think would be detrimental long-term to the gun. I would definitely want to make sure that every magazine that I own for it ran fine and there was no over-insertion issues. And I might want to shoot quite a few rounds through it just to make sure this extractor is also not ejecting erratically. But that could calm my concerns just by shooting it more and training with it more. And I really like the fact that, once again, it has that scandium frame, so I'm not worried about damaging the frame. I've been told by many great 1911 gunsmiths that when it comes to guns like this lightweight Commander, you don't want to shoot them too much. These aluminum frames can flex and they can crack with extensive round counts. But it's from my understanding that the scandium frames can really take a beating and you get the lightweight factor that you would have with aluminum. So 4 out of 5 stars for the SW19ES. Just a great and beautiful and attractive 1911 that seems to run well, is loaded full of options, has a great scheme with that stainless slide, black scandium frame, rosewood grips, and every feature on it that I think a nice modern 1911 should have. So there you go. Do you guys own one of these Smith & Wesson ES's, CCOs? I would love to know if your experiences mimic mine and what your thoughts are on 1911s that are in this configuration, the mix between the commander and the officer. It's quite an interesting idea. So let me know what you think in the comments section below. And as always, thanks for watching.